How do you drive a reader to continue turning the pages? Characters are always important. Plot is always important. But to me, what keeps the reader going is a driving force that a novel has to have. Many elements of a novel come into play here that must play well together. Conflict, emotion, and tension, for example, are usually the main three elements that drive a reader forward. In most cases, a writer doesn't want their reader to cruise through their book or read it in more than a few settings. A writer's ultimate goal is to push the reader all the way through the book without them realizing it. They must turn the page and find out what happens next because it's not an option. The definition I go by for tension is the state of being stretched tight. So you don't want your scene to be floppy or loose. You want it to be strained tight. You want to be able to pluck your scene like a rubber band and hear a good twang to it. So I'm going over 4 big tips today to help add some tension to your story. Let's jump right in. Number 1, loosen your writing. I've talked 1,000 times about not wasting words. Don't explain details that have no purpose to the overall story, be it character or plot related. Don't write about a detailed process unless you absolutely have to, or unless you're building tension. Slowing down or speeding up your normal writing cadence sends a tiny message to the reader saying, listen up, something different is happening. One of the reasons your writing needs to be tight in every other case is so these moments stand out. They put the reader on the edge of their seat without them realizing it because there's a minute shift in storytelling. This shift in writing should occur before the spooky or stressful or sad moment happens. Not too far before because we're not shifting your entire scene's writing speed, but enough that the reader notices that there is a change. Let me pause to explain what I mean by writing speed because I kind of made that up in this context. She started her car is fast writing. This is used in any normal moment this woman starts the car. It's short. Compare that to, she slid into the driver's seat, one leg stretched out the open door. Propping her purse up on the center console, she searched for her chapstick in a sea of receipts and empty snack wrappers, finally resorting to dumping the trash out as she went. Movement registered behind her and she yanked her leg in just as a gust of wind slammed her car door shut. She jerked upright, her keys clinking together as a shape in the road caught her attention. Very rudimentary example, but you get the picture. There's a build up to the action happening, whatever happens with that shape in the road. Number 2, don't skimp on the stress. Say we're writing a scene where Joelle comes home to find her dad waiting for her. Up until this moment in the novel, we've learned that her dad is also a serial killer escaped from prison. Dun, dun, dun. She really doesn't want to see him because who would? One of the dogs is moving. A problem has been introduced, and now we need to see Joelle just stress a little bit. So when she opens the door to her apartment, time feels like it slows down. Why? Because that's what happens in real life. Our bodies prepare for fight or flight because our survival could depend on it. How do we show that? Anyway, anyone that's been in a situation like this knows that time doesn't really slow down, but our senses heighten to pick up things and notice things that we didn't see before, that we don't ordinarily see. All this happens in rapid fire. Everything sharpens right into focus. But what happens when we look back on that moment? Don't say, Joelle opened the door to her apartment and stepped inside. She shuffled across the dark foyer until her fingers clicked the light switch on. A dark figure loomed in front of her, her father. Hi, Joelle, he said, turning on the lamp beside him. I don't know why my voice is getting weird. Yes, that was slightly creepy, but no emotion, no stress, no reaction there. We want to know what's going through her mind, what she's freaking out about. A figure loomed in front of her, her body tensed, tracing the man's outline, familiarity ringing in a tone she wished she could ignore. Years of false safety shattered as he clicked on the lamp beside him, illuminating a face she wasn't supposed to ever see again. Show your character's reaction to a stressful situation. So we talked about the before, leading up to a big moment happening, and we talked about the after, showing what's happening to your character, not skimping on that part. Number 3, build reader tension. No, I'm not talking about stressing your reader out, but I kinda am. I'm talking about things like those end of chapter punches that keep a reader going. I've talked about this briefly in another video, but wanted to elaborate on the topic here because it just makes sense. End of chapter cliffhangers are used to stress the reader, so they feel it necessary to immediately begin the next chapter. But not all of these cliffhangers are created equal, nor should they be. Some may be small, others may be huge. Vary them so that your reader doesn't feel like they're on a merry-go-round of repetitive writing, that the same thing keeps happening every chapter. Small cliffhangers are more like hill hangers or mini cliffhangers, little cute ones. The best way to do this is to shape your scenes to end on the highest note of tension. Your chapters, I mean. The beginning of a chapter should be the reaction to a reveal, but that reveal should happen at the end of the previous chapter. I think I should be going this way because we're reversed. Something happens and then you immediately need to know what the character is going to do about it. I was going to say something else. You can also breeze over a juicy tidbit, underhandedly mentioning the plot twist before it happens. I love when this happens. This makes the reader go, wait, what? And wonder if that's really the direction the story is heading. But that little glimpse is all they're going to get until the plot twist. And if you're doing this for a plot twist, that mini reveal should happen pretty close to your plot twist. This can also be used with any reveal in your story. Dangle it in front of the reader for a second and then yank it away. Don't give them any more information. Your character may find a hidden journal and only briefly find something in it before it's swept away in a storm, and then they have to figure out what it said later. How you reveal information in your novel can be a great way to make your reader experience the tension, experience the stress. Number 4, have relatable characters. Up until now, I've talked about how to add tension in how you write a scene. Let's talk about the foundation for all of that tension, your characters. Tension can come from conflict, but if your readers don't care about the character when the conflict happens, they're not going to feel the tension. This is a common fear a lot of writers have, the fear that your characters aren't going to be relatable enough. It all comes down to character building. Even if your character is the villain, the reader still has to care about what happens to them and what they're going to do next, what their reaction's going to be. Having an active character, one that affects the plot rather than a passive one that simply responds to everything happening around them, definitely helps. Showing how they deal with and react to scenes early in your novel lets the reader feel closer to them. Make sure they have a vulnerability or a flaw, and make sure you show that flaw in at least a few scenes in your novel before the climax, where they have to overcome that flaw or fear. Being able to write that character comes down to really knowing them, even if those details might never be written into your story. You can use Myers-Briggs personality test or any other personality test to help you figure out who your character is. Just something fun. You can sort them into a Hogwarts house if you want to. People are complex though, and if your character isn't, your readers aren't going to care about them. So spend some time to get to know your characters. All right, that's all I have for today. As always, I hope this was really helpful. Comment down below your favorite way to stress your reader out, because why not? We're writers. We all love to do it. I have a bajillion links below. Links to sign up for my newsletter, including the newsletter specifically for my upcoming writers courses. Yeah, links to purchase my YA debut, Dark Fantasy, I said that weird, are down below, a link to my podcast, and a link, I think I used too many fingers, to suggest or vote on your favorite video idea. So go check them out. Whew, I think I got them all covered. All right, until next time, bye guys. Usually they like to make my old videos, you guys used to be in them all the time. I wish everybody could see how cute you look. Okay, don't run into anything. Might be having a husky earthquake. Okay, everyone out. Easy. I know. I'm almost done. Go on. She's not happy.